Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of New to Weeaboo. This is number 57 for October 6th, 2021. I am Nemesis and I am joined by Alcatraz here.
Hello?
Let's see, World of Anime, what was that just popped up? I just remember seeing it. It was, it was something somewhat big. I just remember that. It was actually something kind of big popped up recently.
Something big popped up. I know there's a bunch of figures that was being announced.
Yeah, figures have been announced. That was One Fest. Oh, of course, yeah, the Star Wars Visions thing came out.
That did come out.
Yeah, I'm hearing good things about it. I haven't watched it yet, but we'll watch it. We'll watch it at some point.
At some point.
I mean, yeah, it's a Star Wars anime thing. I mean, yeah, I'm interested. Let's see. Beyond that, I'm trying to... Anime-wise, I haven't really heard... new fall season has pretty much started at this point. We'll have to choose for that soon.
Yep. We'll be doing our four...
Yeah, soonish.
4 new shows.
Yeah.
Should probably write those down when they happen so we don't have to worry about forgetting them. You say as you're struggling to remember.
Anyway, yeah. So, the other thing that came up, personal level, was I got PS5.
Oh, yeah. You randomly got selected for that.
Yeah, Sony says, hey, you've been selected to be able to buy a PS5. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll go ahead and do one. I'll just go ahead and do it. I wasn't even really actively looking for one, but I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. I'll just get one for the normal price, the non-scalping price, where most people can't.
And now I have a PS5, so there's that. It's ugly.
And huge.
It's big and ugly. Yeah,
massive.
It's the thing was it's a lucky you're actually a decent system.
Yeah. It's
because aesthetically the Series X is better.
It's like cats. You're lucky you're cute because otherwise you're a horrible monster.
Yeah, pretty much. But anyway, we're here to talk about actually kind of a classic anime, Death Note.
Yes.
As we talked about a little bit last time, it was this actually came out in 2006 and through 2007, at least the anime did. The manga came out much earlier, I believe. 2003 it started. Let's see, so I'm trying to think how to tackle this one.
So now I could give you a really sarcastic one.
Oh, well, let's not. Let's see. Okay, so I guess quick thing for me, quick opinion. It's fine. I remember it was huge hype way back when it was airing. I remember that everyone was talking about, tons of people. It was just a thing. I was seeing it constantly. Death Note. There's jokes about, oh man, you haven't seen Death Note. Your people. It's like one of those things you just watch it if you're at all interested in anime, right?
Yeah,
it's one of those.
I wasn't even saying I didn't care at all about anime, and I knew about Death Note because everyone talked about Death Note.
Yeah, and I'm just watching it. It's I think the hype was a little overblown.
I think it was, yeah. It's not bad, but
it's one of those things. One of the things is just a couple things about it. I think it's all right. It's kind of good, but I think it's a little long.
I have a couple opinions on that particular point
there's a whole thing there. And sometimes, honestly, and if part of my language is, it feels like it's a little up its own ass.
Well, I guess that's fitting for the primary character.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess to summarize it real quick, yeah, basically, if you don't know, I'm not sure how many people listening to this will not know, but we'll find out. Okay, so basically about a bored teenager who's about the genus named Light, and he eventually stumbles upon a Death Note who's dropped by a Shinigami named Ryuk, who's also bored, and that's the whole reason he dropped in the first place. And this Death Note is this thing, you write someone's name in it, and they'll die. And the default is heart attack, but you can specify, and there's a whole bunch of rules, and we're not going to get super into that because there's a lot of them. But yeah, basically, if you know their name and you know their face, you can write their name in it, and they'll die. And that's how it works, and essentially at the core. But anyway, he gets this, and he gets this idea to use it as a tool of justice. He's going to wipe out all the evil from the world using this book, and he's going to become, the god of this new world he'll create.
Yep.
Anyway, he does these things, and eventually the people notice and find the pattern, and they start putting a task force, including this guy named L, who's basically this big deal, who can super smart and solve cases really easily and stuff. And it becomes a cat and mouse game between Light and L, just who's gonna win out and everything, and it's just a long thing. And eventually, there's this girl named Misa who also gets a death note and everything, and then Light is forced to work with her, and he doesn't really like her that much, but he doesn't really have a choice. Particularly since her Shinigami is basically like, I will kill you if you do anything to her.
Yep.
Anyway, that's the whole thing. This whole cat and mouse thing, eventually, about 2/3 of the way through, L dies because Light sets it up for that. And it seems like that's it, except wait, there's a whole slew of episodes left. Turns out L has successors named Nier and Mello. And they're now chasing after the Death Note and everything, and there's all this stuff about that, and eventually Light it's still more cat and mouse games, and then eventually Light loses and dies.
Yep.
At the end of the series, and that's the overview.
Yeah.
Don't want to get super detailed, but yeah. I don't think I actually heard your general opinions yet overall, except for a little bit.
Other than the it's not bad, but my agreement in your first part, like I said, I mostly echo of what you're saying. It's not bad, but I don't think it lives up to the big hype that it was getting when it was airing, and everyone freaking out about it. I don't regret watching it. If I want to get a little bit more specific onto little pieces of it, the first 2/3 was better than the last third.
Yeah.
After the death of L, it kind of went downhill.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to consider it season 1 and season 2 at that point, even though it's not really a split season. Just because everything kind of shifts after the death of L, it feels almost like it would be.
Mm-hmm.
I can't decide whether I want to say, because I get two sort of feelings at that point with that sudden, not really a sudden tonal shift, and it's not a huge, massive tonal shift, but there is a noticeable one that I don't know if the writers didn't know it was going to go as long as it did and found themselves having to write more after the death of L, or they like wrote themselves into a corner and went, crap, we're at this point, like, we can't continue with L, now we have to do something. Because it almost feels, the introduction of the new characters does kind of feel off to me a little, and that's sort of what I get, like L was supposed to be the final person to find him. Like, that's what it was supposed to be, and then it wasn't, and they had to do something. Either they found they couldn't write any more stories for L and had to come up with something new. Maybe someone told them they had to make a shift, or they ran out of things to do with L, or they got more episodes, because it's, 30-something episodes?
Let's also remember it's based on a manga.
Right, okay. But I don't know, that's what it feels like.
The
death of L and the shift is like...
No, that was just how he wrote it.
How they wrote it?
Just wrote it, just that L dies, and then...
Maybe the manga set things up differently. Maybe it was just in the transition to the anime, because it just feels... meh. After L dies in the introduction of the new ones. It doesn't feel as established as I would have liked, and then everything else kind of... The second third is just not as good as the first. And even then... I'm not going to... Even the first part with L isn't as good as the hype made it up to be.
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't as big of hype around it, and maybe a few subtle changes here, it would have actually been a lot better. Because it wouldn't have that high bar that it's being placed on.
Yeah, it's a thing, or it's like, it's like you hear all this hype about like Death Note. It's like, okay, everyone almost everyone who watches anime has watched it at some point, and it's like every single person, or at least back then, I remember that it was just when it was airing. I knew about it when it was airing, but I didn't really watch it because I wasn't really watching anime at the time. Mm-hmm. And everyone just keeps talking about how great it is, and this, this is actively when it was airing, so people were like, what's going to happen next, that sort of thing.
Right, and it probably would have been a little bit better if you're watching it during that time, because it really,
is
one of those.
Might be one of that's why I was wondering. It's one of those things where it's like, you had to be there type of situation, or what. I'm wondering how many people have rewatched it since they watched it. The other thing was like, teenager at the time, or teenager early 20s, and so it's like that's kind of it might hit different when you're younger versus right, your 30s, and it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, it's like something you mentioned while we were watching. It's kind of that 2000s edge, which if you're a high schooler, if you're a teenager, you're right in the midst of that teenage angst and edgy phase. It would just play right into it too, if you're that age, and the era plays into it as well.
Here's the thing, so that whole thing with Like you're saying, yeah, I feel like I wasn't really super into it in the first place. It's like, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of fine, I guess, but it's like, and then you get to the episode 26, and that's when more or less an L dies, and it's like, it feels like it could end there in a sense.
Which would make sense
And-
because that's episode 26.
Yeah.
That's like a normal
But
one
like,
season
and
length.
then after that, it's like, okay, this is just dragging on now. I'm just kind of like, I had pretty much like almost forced myself to watch the last third because I was just kind of like, I just want this to be over with already.
Yeah, the Near and Mello just weren't as good of characters as L. I missed L. I liked L as a character.
Mm-hmm.
And Near and Mello just
Aren't as good.
aren't as good.
Yeah.
They're just, yeah.
The whole thing there is like, for me, the death of L was not so much, oh man, the character, now the character's gone, now it's ruined. It's more or less it just kind of marks like this is a shift where the anime just changes because like, well, it has to keep going, and
Right.
we have to.
Which is why I was kind of feeling that it feels like
Yeah.
something happened at that point, like it was supposed to do
No,
something
that's
else.
just how it was going.
Yeah.
That's how it was written.
Yeah.
That's just how it was.
So
There was no
it's not,
weird-
but it feels like that, and it makes it worse because it happens right at episode
Again,
26.
it might hit differently if you're reading the manga. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier too. But yeah.
But it's I also apparently I read up somewhere that the manga ends a little differently. I thought the way someone was going on. I thought there was a major difference. It's not really that big of a
It's
difference.
not that big of a difference.
It's still basically Light breaking down and freaking out and about because basically he lost and trying not to lose and still losing and
As it all slips
stuff.
through his fingers.
instead of how it ended in the anime where it's him dying from blood loss and yelling at what's his face, the prosecutor guy, Mikami.
Yeah.
And try to write something down. The Mikami, he's actually pleading with Ryuk to write the names down. Ryuk, well, as he says there, I will be the one to write your name in my death note, and he does that. And at that point, instead of Light running away,
So
But
the
then
manga, he dies of blood loss from the...
I guess. Well, instead of running away, he just dies there in the warehouse. And there's a little extra stinger thing where it's like someone else gets a death note. Like basically, some years later, someone else gets a death note and starts doing the whole thing again. And then, Nier is now the new L, and he's like, this guy's intentions here. I don't care. He's boring. I don't even want to care. And then apparently, the person at the death note wrote his own name, and then after he found out the L just publicly declared the new Kira non-interesting. He just wrote his own name, and he's like, well. And yeah, Ryuk
Well, that
basically,
ended
no one will
quickly.
ever be a better Kira than Light.
Oh, and that's one. It's like, I remember when we first started watching it, I thought it was going to go differently because I figured that Light wasn't going to be as intelligent,
Yeah.
but it turns out he was.
Yeah, this whole thing, he's a teenage genius, so he was a teenage.
Yeah,
now
so
he's
he
then
did have
a
he did have the
genius.
smarts. Because at first I thought it was going to be, okay, you're going up against, people who investigate for a living and you're just a teenager. You have book smarts, but you don't have much else. But turns out, no, he does. He does.
Yeah, because the whole thing is a cat and mouse game between Light and L, and then it becomes cat and mouse between Light and N.
Yep, or Near.
Yeah, and all kind of Mellow as well.
Mellow,
because apparently Mellow was kind of part of it, but
Mellow Yellow.
because Near's like, I can't hope to match L, but myself and Mellow together can, and then also Mellow died.
Yeah, Mellow died.
The other thing there was the whole. It was kind of sometimes the whole plots and subplots got a little ridiculous. Again, that's why I was meant by the kind of a little obsessed with itself thing.
A little bit, yeah. Like,
it feels like it's trying to be really smart, and the thing is, there's sometimes it feels like the whole situation is engineered solely so the plots can actually work. That every single little rule and quirk of the Death Note is. It's just conveniently just has to go like this, so this whole thing can work like this, so we can make it more complicated and make this stretch it out longer with another twist.
yes, that's exactly why. I'm going to say this straight up.
Yeah.
That's the point. The entire
It is.
point.
It was the author admitted to that.
Yeah, the entire point of the entire story of the entire anime is just to set up that interaction of these super intelligent, hyper complicated
and the constant
figurines
twists.
themselves out, and all. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be, because it's kind of and that's a whole like subgenre of I guess suspense or thrillers, because it kind of plays into some of the viewers wants to be that smart as well. I want to say it's kind of interesting. So Light, I absolutely hate Light.
Yeah. He made it pretty obvious, like 2 episodes.
Oh, like, yeah, within 2 episodes, I was looking like, I hate this guy. He's horrible. And yeah, he's absolutely horrible. But kind of interesting. I find some, like, subtle, what's the word I'm looking for? Parallels. Subtle parallels between this and Light and Rick and Morty and Rick.
Oh, God.
In the fact that I'm pretty sure I knew about it and I heard people talking about it during the airing, but I'm pretty certain there's going to be plenty of people in, I guess, the Death Note fandom that are like the Rick and Morty fandom that go, oh, I love Rick and Morty. Rick is such a relatable character. I want to be just like him. I'm certain there's people just like that about Light, because that's what it feels like. This hyper intelligent character who's absolutely horrible and people absolutely want to be like him. And it's like, if you say that Light's your favorite character, I want to get away from you. Just like Rick. If you go, oh, Rick's such a relatable character, he's great, go away. You're not supposed to like him.
I don't know. I know a lot of people did like him. Of course, a lot of it was also because he's a pretty boy.
Yeah, there's a pretty boy, but the God complex and the I'm so smart and I know better than everyone else.
God complex over the whole thing.
Yeah, of course he has a God complex. That's not even him.
It's weird when
he
there's a
literally
whole
calls
bit,
himself God.
the whole thing where, like, you know, if you relinquish ownership of the Death Note, you lose all your memories of the Death Note and everything surrounding it. So it's like when I said kind of just a bit of a smarmy teenager at that point. You know, he's a little annoying, but really nothing bad.
Except that as he starts learning about it starts to pop up again.
Well, yeah, once he gets his memory back.
No, even before that.
Yeah, I disagree with that, honestly.
Well, because he started learning more about it.
Teenager until he all of a sudden gets the memory back. Then he goes back to being insufferable douchebag.
Well, yeah, the full insufferable part. But like even when he starts learning about it, you hear him talking in his head
a little bit.
Where he's talking about, wow, now I look into this. This guy has the same morals as I do.
Yeah, a little bit, but
because that's when he starts, before he gets his memory back, he starts questioning, maybe I was, because he's like, wow, this guy's actually got the same morals as me.
He doesn't have the God complex, is what I'm saying. I'm saying he just says I'm the God complex. He's just kind of like, you know, this teenager who's just kind of like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, you know, it doesn't really.
Right, the God complex is generated once he gets the power. It's the whole absolute power corrupts absolutely.
He just comes off as just a slightly annoying teenager for when he doesn't have it, and heck, even when he doesn't have it, he actually somewhat tolerates Misa, and even possibly actually genuinely cares about her when he doesn't have the Death Note.
Yeah.
But once he gets it back, she's just a tool again.
Yep.
Because the whole thing is Misa's like, she gets it, and like she basically becomes obsessed with Kira, and then she finds out Light is Kira, and like, you know, basically right there, it's like she's just totally enamored with him, and will do everything he says, and he's just like, he just plays with her, I guess, feelings just because she's a tool. So for now, she has to be useful because I have no other choice but to use her.
Yep, and that's what he does, is he uses her, and then uses her to get to Rem, to get Rem to kill L.
Yeah, Rem
and
is the
everyone
other
else.
Shinigami. That has the Death Note herself. Yeah, I gave a Death Note to there's a whole thing where Shinigami can die if they protect a human with the Death Note.
Yeah, if they use the Death Note to save someone,
basically
the Shinigami dies and gives all of the Shinigami's life to the person they saved.
Yeah.
So not only did he use Rem to kill L, so he didn't have to do it and implicate himself, he also gave Rem's entire life force to Misa to make up for the fact that she twice made this deal.
Yeah, the whole deal with the Shinigami eyes, where if you make the deal with the Shinigami to get the Shinigami eyes, you can now see people's names and how much time they have left above their heads and whatnot. And but also it halves your life.
Yep.
Whatever you have left, it's now halved.
Yeah, and doing what he did, he basically gave Misa all of that back.
Yeah, and then the whole task force, and Light gets on the task force too, and there's his dad is a part of it, and
so many I love a good complicated subplot as long as it's written well. Have all these intricate plots and stuff. I watched Primer and liked it. Okay, that one's dealing with time travel, so it's a little bit different, but I am also a fan of hard sci-fi, so throw technical stuff at me. I love it. But yeah, I do feel like while I do love these super complicated, like throw some hyper complicated Sherlock kind of stories at me. I love that sort of stuff.
Right.
But like you said, this one kind of feels full of itself. It feels like it's trying too hard at sometimes, and it feels like the super complicated stuff is a little bit too contrived.
Yeah. The other thing, yeah, Light is what you consider a villain protagonist, essentially. I mean, his whole thing is he is using the Death Note to, well, enact his sense of justice on the world, and he's killing people. He just believes he is, he is doing the right thing and everything, and at the end of Nier just says, you're just a murderer. You're just a serial killer. That's all you are. You just have a very fancy way to kill people.
You've just justified it to yourself.
Yeah,
which
that's
most
the thing.
serial,
That's the thing about villain protagonists is the whole idea is, well, they're clearly a villain, but they're the main character. So you kind of, a good villain protagonist is one you root for, even though they're doing bad things.
I don't root for Light.
Yeah,
I wanted him to die.
You were like, nah, I didn't care about Light. Like, I didn't dislike him as much as you did, apparently, but I'm just like, yeah, whatever, Light. Shut up.
I wanted L to win.
I didn't even care about L that much either.
I kind of liked L.
My favorite character is actually Ryuk. Just because he's just kind of bored. He's just like watching and laughing at this. He's like, how you gonna take out this one now? How you gonna get the
Yeah, Ryuk is great.
I
think that is a common thing amongst a lot of like post viewers, like who aren't like where they're hyping the whole thing up when it came out, watching it. It's like, yeah, Ryuk's like the greatest because he's just bored.
He's just a bored guy who's just like, oh, this is interesting. I'm gonna, get some popcorn, or in this case, get some apples, and he's just gonna watch it. And he said in the beginning, I'm not gonna help you really, not a whole lot,
except for a couple.
I'm not rooting for you. I'll help you occasionally, but there's a couple times he helped him only because he kind of needed to.
Yeah, I was like, this guy's really freaking annoying, so I'm gonna let you know about.
Yeah, there's someone following you, and he's annoying me, so that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, for most of the time, he just kind of occasionally
just sits back chuckling, watching.
He's just watching it unfold. That's all he's doing.
Because that's all he's there for. He dropped it just because he was bored.
Because the whole idea was Light and Ryuk are both having the same problem, which is they're just bored. And, they found a way to make life interesting for each other. And, yeah, it's kind of the beginning of it. And, so it's a thing there. The villain protagonist and all that stuff. Episode 26, okay, that's the one where Light or L dies, and that's another thing too, is Light and L. It's just so close to my brain that it's like my brain keeps swapping around.
And then it doesn't help that after episode 26, Light assumes the identity of L.
Yeah. Because he's hiding in plain sight, essentially.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the whole thing there, L dies, and I feel like, okay, so they have the whole thing where, like, at the very end, actually kind of a really well done ending, I'll say that. The anime does have a really well done ending with the whole Light losing it and then running off with the music and everything just kind of...
Yeah.
I think that's a really good thing with, a little bit of monologue from Yuke and all that stuff.
The ending was all right.
You can actually, I think, more or less cut it off. You removed a little bit of the stinger with Mello and N at the end of episode 26 or whatever. You can essentially end it there, and you have a perfectly valid, Light wins ending.
Yeah, you could have.
You absolutely can do that. I think it actually would have worked very well as an ending. Yeah, it's not technically it's a bad ending.
Yeah,
but it works.
The bad guy wins.
Guy wins because the whole thing is it takes place in 2006, 2007. At least the anime does. And Light, it looks like Light wins, and then because of Kira, it changes the world. Crime drops and all that stuff because people out of fear. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things. But people point out a utopia created out of fear isn't really a utopia.
Yep.
Something will give eventually.
Uh-huh.
But crime drops and everything, and that stuff. Everyone's just like kind of letting Kira do his thing, and everything. And then the time jumped to like 2012, then a little bit 2013. And then, that's where we could pick up with N and Mello and all this stuff. It's like they could have actually ended there. Actually, I think they could would have been better overall if instead of having this whole extra third with just more junk, it could have basically L. And this apparently because I'm looking at the manga author did consider having L doing the final confrontation and winning and all that stuff, and more or less just kind of swap N with L, and that's you lose, and that's Kira, and then Light has his freak out and dies, and there you go.
Yeah,
cut out that whole
would have preferred it.
And third, and I think overall would have been better.
Yeah, make it a standard 26 episode series. End it with L winning.
Yeah. But apparently that was considered, but decided not to.
So we should probably talk about the weird, almost bromance between L and Light for a bit. That got a bit interesting.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. I'm actually was looking on Archive of Our Own here, and there's a lot of L and Light fics.
Yeah.
Let's see. There are 8,246 works in Death Note, and 2,739 of them have L/Yagami Light shipping.
So a quarter of them ship those two.
Yes.
It's like, how can you not?
Actually, closer to almost a third.
Oh, dang. Yeah, because that was very interesting. Like, I'm going to catch Kira. I'm pretty sure Light is Kira, but also Light is my friend, and I'm still going to catch Kira, even if it's you. But then it's like the way Light interacts with them, and then the whole washing of his feet
Yeah, that's a weird
scene.
thing. This is a whole weird dynamic there. There's definitely a tension, I guess, people, not surprisingly, picked up on. I wonder if that's part of the reason why it was popular, particularly among the Fujoshi.
Yeah, yep.
But also, I'm kind of curious, while looking, the closest thing to a canon ship, Misa and Light, which I would not consider that really canon, because, again, Light doesn't really care about Misa.
Yeah, same with Light and Takada.
Closest thing to a canon one here, it is number 4 on the most popular at 474.
Is it Misa?
Yeah, Misa and Light.
What about Light and, was it Takada?
I don't even, is it?
Reporter?
It's not even on the
not
list.
Not even, because
it's
no
not
one
even
cares.
Popular. Hell, Mikami and Light is on there. Like,
what? Really? Wow.
The prosecutor guy.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah, and then right below the L, and original female character, aka self inserts. 118
shipping with L.
It's like, yeah, that's another thing. Yep, pretty guys and stuff, and
with L or Light?
L.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. That's a thing. And I know, kind of weird. It's like we're kind of sitting here just bad mouthing something that's considered a classic. It's kind of weird to be in this position, honestly.
Yeah,
we're just like
not being super enthused over something that's so big.
We're just like, yeah, it's a big deal and stuff, but like I didn't think it was that great.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking like it won a bunch of awards, and there's a bunch of remakes. There's live action things. There's a Japanese live action. I think there's of course the Netflix one, which apparently was rated by many negatively after release, and a sequel film is reportedly in the works.
Oh boy.
Yeah. There's a musical.
Oh geez, musical. Speaking of music,
yeah.
Can we quickly mention the second half OP?
I guess.
Oh my god, that was just what?
Yeah, there's
not to disparage people's choice in music, but it's definitely not my taste. But the visuals, what happened? The first one was way goofy. Better.
It's very goofy looking.
with Light with that open face, evil grin, just
laughing,
kaleidoscoped.
Yeah, it is. It's weird.
It doesn't look great, in my opinion.
Look at the animation here. Oh, Madhouse. I'm trying to remember. I know that name. I'm trying to remember what they've done. I think we've watched some of it.
I mean, they worked on Death Note.
Yeah, obviously. First season, One Punch Man. Let's see. What's works? Okay. Oh, Cardcaptor Sakura. That's one I've been meaning to watch.
I'm certain that goes really well with Death Note.
I'm just looking at what they've worked on. That's the thing I've watched on here that I would know about. Or, I personally watched. Let's see. I know of that one. I haven't watched it yet. Another one of those I've heard apparently. It's like people watched it, loved it back then. Now most people come back on it. Yeah, it's not very good. Oh, Strawberry Panic. I know about that one.
Oh, yep.
Because we watched it. Strawberry Panic. Devil May Cry. The anime, which I heard is not very good. High School of the Dead.
They worked on High School of the Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, My Love Story.
Oh, hey, nice.
A Place Further Than the Universe.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
A lot of these sound real familiar.
I've heard about that. Hajime no Ippo. It's a boxing anime.
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
Hunter. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much the stuff I know of or seen. At least from just outright series, and of course,
yeah,
specials, film.
So they're rather
been around
prolific
for a while.
one. They make a lot of big name ones that people
Yeah,
know.
they watched made several movies. Batman, Gotham Knight. Oh yeah, that one I remember. Oh, Pat Labor. I actually saw that one. Yeah, so wow, lots of stuff. Yeah, they worked on quite a few things.
Quite prolific.
Yeah, but I've heard basically most of the time it's like when Madhouse does something, it's really good animation.
Really good animation.
Regardless of everything else, at least the animation is good. As we see, High School of the Dead is not very good.
And even then, the animation was, I mean, it wasn't bad, but there were some scenes where just that's
there's also some really good bits of animation too.
Yeah,
like,
it has
of course the classic
go
in the ridiculously dramatic writing.
The dramatic writing in this. So I'm just thinking of like High School of the Dead, the infamous scene. That's not really bad animation. That's just bad art direction.
Well, I wouldn't say art direction as much as just a bad idea. It's animated well. It's stupid.
Yeah. It's not
animated
animation.
Well, but it's
that's
really
why I say
dumb.
it's more of like a direction. Someone told them, "I want you to animate this," and they did it because.
But then again, you also
were told
for the universe, which is really, really good.
Yes, plays further than the universe.
So I don't know.
It's not bad. I don't regret watching it.
There's a lot of interesting stuff about it, but I just feel again, it's too long. It gets a little full of itself, and the problem is part of the main character. I don't think is particularly great. You really do not like him.
I don't like him as
he's not
as
great
a character. I mean, like, I think. At its core, it's a good concept, and this could have been a lot better with not much changes. Like we've already listed a few things. You've listed a few things, like ending it at episode 26, changing the story a few things here and there. It wouldn't take much to really push this thing higher, I think, but they didn't, so it's not.
Yeah,
it's not like that. It's not a bad anime. It really isn't.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of actual extra characters who are like barely relevant.
Barely relevant.
Mello was a weird one because like he was kind of like at the same time as Nier trying to do the whole thing with getting the Death Note, and then he kind of almost succeeded. He more or less forced him to hand over the Death Note. He had it for a while, and then he lost it, and then, of course, because Light's dad would not just refuse to write the name,
he's too
able
good
to
of
blow
a
things
person.
up and run away with a big old scar on his face. And then he dies when he kidnaps
Takada.
Yeah, Takada.
Takada, yep.
Who
and gets Takada to kill him.
Yep.
Because they knew his name because of his dad.
That was part of the whole thing.
Got his name, but he didn't have a face.
It's weird how basically Nier won because he just more or less stumbled into the fact that the notebook was fake.
Yeah, and that was because of Mello.
Yep.
Mello figured it out because Mello is super smart, but super emotional about it too, and just always angry on the edge and just rushes into things. But together they were able to figure it out, and Mello was able to force the hand of someone to do something outside of norms, which revealed the fake notebook.
Yep. One of those things, like for a good ending, Light had to die. This is one of those things. Light, it's like if you can get away. I feel you can absolutely get away with a Light wins scenario and still have a good, well written ending. But like, it's one of those things. Like most people are going to be like, Light has to die. Of course, then there's the wondering like, what's the fallout? They didn't really get into that. What's the fallout of the Kira's gone?
Yeah,
because the world pretty much just kind of gave into, this guy just basically has control over all this. So,
yep. Basically just treated him as a god like he was trying to be.
Yeah. And then, now it's like, ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yep. Yeah, imagine that announcement just popping in. We found Kira. It's like, Yami, he's dead. Kira is dead. And then what happens? And they don't say. They don't say what happens.
Yep. It's pretty much like, that's it.
He's dead.
The end. I'm not surprising there's some video games.
Of course. It was super popular. You gotta cash in on it.
It caused some controversy, not surprising, including the teenagers and stuff making their own death notes in real life and then writing names of people they hate in it.
Yep.
Typical teenager nonsense.
Yep.
Where was that? I saw video games. What are they? What kind of strategy game? Player takes a role of Kira or L. Interesting.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's an entire
player
story
will attempt to
about
deduce who their enemy is. Investigation. That's
The
interesting.
whodunit. It's like Clue.
Team. Oh yeah, it looks like it's multiplayer. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's basically like Clue.
Yeah. Nintendo DS. Basically sequel to that. And then there's the third game. What's the third game? It's also DS. Player assumes the role of a rookie FBI agent who awakens in a strange hotel and attempts to escape with the help of L, who provides assistance by an in-game PTA. Story set before the Kira investigation in the original series. Oh, pretty cool.
Interesting.
And also they appear as non-playable characters and stuff like Jump Superstars, Jump Ultimate Stars, and Jump Force.
Jump Force. Oh boy.
Non-playable.
Non-playable characters. It's like, yeah.
So, in the end, do I regret watching? No. But
No.
it really, the hype was way overblown.
Yep.
Way overblown. And yeah, I'm not sure it's really kind of deserves the status it has.
I don't think it does.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
We probably, who knows, maybe people now notice that we just talked crap about Death Note and then come after us. I don't know.
Am I in 40 seconds from release? Am I going to have a heart attack?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Find out.
Yeah. Could have been better.
It could have been better. It wouldn't have taken much to be better.
It just actually one of those weird things. Yeah, just a couple small changes would make drastic improvements.
Yeah, because I like the concept. I like the idea. You can do some really interesting things with that. I just think the execution on it was just a little off.
Yep. So, I guess that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, or I don't know if you did or not, because I don't know, maybe we just talked trash about your favorite anime of all time. I don't know.
Screaming at us the entire time that we're wrong.
If you did enjoy this, you can check out past and future episodes, new to weeaboo.libsyn.com, to spell Libsyn, if you want to subscribe to the RSS feed there and keep up to date as they come out. There's also other destinations for our podcasts. There's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple or Amazon Podcasts. If you want to subscribe to any of those methods, you can do so. There are buttons at the top of the Libsyn site as well. You can also contact us via email, newtoweeaboo@gmail.com, if you have questions or comments or anime recommendations or any of that stuff. Or, other ways, of course, leaving comments on YouTube is another way to give us anime recommendations.
Yep, and we have been reading those.
And we have seen those. We have read those. We know about them. It doesn't, again, not necessarily we will go out, watch them, depending, but we might. Just one of those, we do schedule pretty far in advance as well.
Yeah.
Which is part of the reason why Star Wars Visions isn't part of the thing yet.
Yeah, it's like, it just came out. It'd be great to talk about. Or, yeah, we got a whole list of things that we've already got to go through.
We already kind of started. It's too late. Maybe later.
Maybe later.
Probably later.
Probably. It's going to be one of those that, we do eventually need to get to it.
There's also the Twitter. We're at New to Weeaboo, if you want to follow that and keep up to date with episodes that way. And our personal Twitters, I'm at Nemesis Prime 1 and he's at Alcatraz of the 77T and an underscore at the end. Robots. Oh yeah, One Fest. Yeah, man, there's a bunch of stuff I want.
I think I got somewhat lucky this time. There wasn't, at least as far as some of the things that I've seen pop up.
A couple Miku things.
There's a couple Miku things, but I'm not going to buy every Miku thing, and not every design is one that I'm super gung-ho about.
Yeah, I think they confirmed Figmas for all the Love Live Superstar characters, so there's that for me. And then Nendo as well. And of course Figmas for some Hololive.
Yeah, it's like
Rushia, Noelle, and Flare.
Yeah.
A gold ship from Uma Masumi got confirmed for a Figma and a Nendo.
What was I was saying?
Measure Queen as well.
Yeah. Fubuki. I could have sworn I saw Fubuki.
Yeah, Fubuki Nendo.
Yeah.
I'm kind of want to focus on
No,
more
it wasn't Figma. There was a Nendo, and there was the
Pop Parade.
The pop-up parade, I think.
Yeah,
I think there was a pop-up parade.
There was one of those as well. And then Marine got this 1/7 scale statue thing, was probably going to multiple hundreds of dollars.
Oh yeah, yeah. The 1/7 scale Mikus were like $300 something.
Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
So that's it for this episode. Join us next time. We're going to be talking about Wonder Egg Priority because one, apparently it's a horror anime, so I guess ideal for October. But the other thing is, I heard a lot of good things when it first started airing, and then when it finished, I heard a lot of bad things.
Yes.
So something's going on there, and I want to know.
At this point, it's like
I need to know.
I'm like a morbid curiosity.
Not more because I just need to know.
Well, who knows? It might be.
Because I heard everything is great until like the last third and then goes to crap.
Yep, that's what I've heard as well. So we'll find out and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll give our own opinions on that. Whether or not you think they're worth anything, that's up to you. So that's it. Tune in then, and hope you guys take care of yourselves and all that stuff. And we'll see you next time.
Yep.
So goodbye.
Bye.